Welcome, FNuser57 here. Once again, I'm back on my Xbox One, and today I'm bringing you yet another video for Gears 5. In this video, I'm going to show you how to get the brand new Island Glow Indigo weapon set and complete the Freeze Dodgeball Medal group. Now, this is relatively easy and straightforward, so I know there's going to be somebody in the comment section that tells me why am I even bothering making this. But for some reason, a lot of people do miss the notifications when these new weapon sets are added to the game, and this is part of a limited time event. So you only have about 1 week, maybe 2 weeks on average to get these weapon skins if you want them until either the event is brought back or they're added to the store for coins. So if you want the weapon set, I'm going to show you how to do it. Now what you need to do is you need to get the Shatter Them medal done, which is completing 10 rounds. Super easy. Stone Cold Killer, get 50 eliminations in the Freeze Dodgeball versus event. Also fairly easy. Best Served Cold, which is win 5 matches in the Freeze Dodgeball versus event. That one can be a little bit more tricky, especially if you're playing by yourself, but if you have a few friends or you're just a god at the game, then it shouldn't be much of a problem. The last one for most people to get is probably going to be the Freeze Medal, because you have to deal 75,000 damage in the Freeze Dodgeball versus event. Now, that is a heck of a lot of damage to deal, especially when you take into account the actual damage calculations that you need to do. So, probably depending on your skill level and when you have any, or if you have any friends, I should say, to play this with that actually want to do it, this set of medals would take, I'm gonna say, somewhere around probably 2 hours, give or take, depending upon your skill level, the matchmaking of the game, and whether you are playing by yourself or not. So basically go to Versus and you'll see the new event, Freeze Dodgeball. It's pretty much Dodgeball, just everything does a proportionate amount of freeze damage. So yeah, that sounds about as awkward as it actually is. Now, one thing that's not awkward is making sure that you have your notification icon turned on so that you never miss another one of these videos. If you haven't done so already, also, it wouldn't hurt to go ahead and subscribe for more content. In any case, what we're going to do here is we're going to go into this playlist, and I'll try to give you some generalized tips and tricks because it is a little bit different than normal dodgeball. However, with that being said, there's also just, it comes down to how good you are, how good the connection to the game server is, and, well, hopefully you have good teammates. So this can take place on a variety of different maps, and as I mentioned already, every weapon does a proportionate amount of freeze damage. It is possible to join a match that's already in progress, because this is not ranked, and this does in fact actually have bot backfilling, plus there's no rule about joining with squads. So technically you can have an entire 5-stack team if you wish to do so. The first thing you'll notice is the fact that you start with a very odd weapon set. You actually start with the Marxa and the Enforcer. Plus, if you have it equipped, you get a shock grenade. Now, personally, I am not a fan of the fact that you can start with a shock grenade in a game mode that does in fact allow players to respawn. Because every time you spawn, then guess what? There is another shock grenade that has to be dealt with. And the shock grenade in and of itself doesn't do a ridiculous amount of damage, but it does apply a exceedingly high percentage of freeze. Now, like I said, there's our metal freeze. I made sure to only leave a little bit of damage necessary to unlock that, and then I will be showcasing the weapon skins here at the end. But this game can go fairly slow, simply due to the fact that nobody wants to get frozen. And as far as doing damage, it's not really that hard, but as you can see, it's pretty damn easy to get your head taken off at a distance, since everyone has a marksman rifle. With that being said, the games tend to go either really damn fast, where the entire team gets obliterated like that, or really damn slow. Not much of a in-between. Also, due to the fact that you respawn teammates, in this particular game mode, it makes it a bit of a nightmare to deal with spawn protection, so keep that in mind. While the Enforcer does have an incredibly fast fire rate and is very good at close range, for medium range engagements, it's not actually that good in terms of freezing your opponent. It is possible to win versus a Enforcer, even at close range with the Marksa, if you nail your headshots. But other weapons that do higher damage and also have higher freeze in proportion can be exceedingly annoying to deal with. For instance, the M-Bar, which is what I've lost to more than a few times. That weapon does a exceedingly large amount of damage combined with a very high percentage of freeze, makes it so that it is pretty much a one-shot. Another thing to keep in mind with this particular game mode is ghost damage. Now, when I say ghost damage, I mean because of all of these shock grenades on the map, the range on the shock grenade can be a little bit off-putting. And sometimes you'll get hit by it when you think you're out of range of it. Other times, it will be completely invisible, which is one game clip that I do want to share with you so that you can see what I'm talking about. And that's something to keep in mind. If you do, in fact, get killed by an invisible enemy, it may not actually be invisible, just the grenade itself was invisible. So something to keep in mind. Also, the fact that shock grenades do stun not only your opponents and yourself, but they also stun your teammates. They're a wee bit of a double-edged sword to use. Another thing to keep in mind with this whole ice frost damage shit is the fact that it doesn't always work in a manner where you can clearly tell the percentage of frost that you've built up on a target. So just keep in mind, don't rely on it. It's another thing that you have to deal with, but it's one of those things that you just have to note. If you wish to play out the match, you can play out the match, but like I said, these matches can take an exceeding amount of time, and I wouldn't recommend backing out once you have your medals completed, only because that's really not fair to your teammates. However, that doesn't stop people from backing out of these lobbies all the time just because they feel like it, since there is no penalty, in fact, for leaving a non-ranked match. This is just one of those game modes that's exceedingly difficult, and despite your best intentions, I honestly don't like using this whole Enforcer thing. I've tried so many times with it, and I just don't get 100% damage when an opponent gets 100% damage on me. It's, yeah, it's not one of my favorite weapons. Because fire rate does not rule everything. With that being said, do try to stick with your team. Try to mark targets as much as possible so your teammates know where they are. And if you have friends that you can play with, it'll definitely make the game a lot easier. Now, I'm not the best player in the world by any means, and I don't claim to be. I'm not even a fan of the PvP in this particular Gears game. But with all of that being said, I really don't like this game mode due to the whole respawning enemies, and it's random where you or the enemy spawns. So sometimes you can spawn right in front of an enemy, and due to the fact that you have the spawn protection, it makes it exceedingly broken, since well, you can't take damage, but you can actually, in fact, sometimes take freeze, because the freeze is a completely separate calculation compared to normal damage. It is, as always, important to control the power weapons, but also to keep in mind the fact that a single enemy, if left alive, does have the potential to turn the whole game around. But then again, that's just the way dodgeball works. So, back to the damage calculation. For those of you that don't know, it takes 600 points of damage to actually kill an opponent. That's from full health to dead. However, with this addition of the freezing, your health regenerates almost a little bit quicker than what it would in a normal match, at least from my experience. So, in fact, you can get more than 600 damage per kill if you're fighting a slow battle, but if you're fighting a fast battle, then you're probably not going to even get the 600 damage per kill due to the fact that your teammates are more than likely putting damage on the target. Thankfully, you don't need kills in this, you only need elims. Elims just mean you have to do at least 1 point of damage before the target fully heals. So, really, the medals aren't that bad. Like I said, the two most annoying parts, one being the respawns and spawn protection layout, because you can spawn directly in a group of enemies. Two being the ghost shock grenades. Personally, I don't think a shock grenade should be a option in this game mode due to the fact that it applies the freeze damage and pretty much kills you in like 2 ticks. If the direct damage doesn't kill you, the freeze effect does kill you. And that's where I want to share this one game clip with you. Now, I know this game clip's going to be a little bit wonky because for some reason it didn't record sound, but in this particular clip, you're going to see that I actually respawn, and when I do respawn, I die almost immediately to a invisible grenade. Of course, my teammates are getting murdered while we're waiting here, and like I said, the games can be very quick or they can be exceedingly slow. Now, on my screen, there's nothing on the ground. I spawn, and I instantly die to an enemy who supposedly threw a shock grenade there, but in fact, there was nothing there. In addition, just before that, you notice that it spawned me in a shock grenade, so just keep an eye out for those loathsome little sneaky stealth shock grenades. Alright, so here we're going to showcase these nice weapon skins. We have the Island Glow Indigo Lancer, which, now, it's pretty much the exact same pattern as the other Island Glow Orange weapon skin set, so I kind of feel like they just reused an old asset and didn't put a ton of work into this weapon skin. But with that being said, it does actually look cool, and it looks better in dark environments, especially if you like kind of the purplish colored weapons. Here's a closer look at the Gnasher. And here's an even better look at the Snub pistol. Now, of course, I think the larger weapons like the Boomshot look the best, and if we go down for comparison, I can show you the Island Glow Orange, which is almost the identical skin to the Island Glow Indigo, but I kind of like that indigo color to it. Now, obviously, it's not as hard to get or as prestigious as like an Arid Gale skin or a heroic skin, depending on the skin, but at least you can get the full set that does include the flamethrower or the scorcher weapon. So that is available for those of you that wish to get it. I, however, will still be rocking my Arid Gale skin set simply due to the prestige and rarity of that skin set. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video on unlocking the Island Glow Indigo weapon skin, and now have a few more medals and stars to show for it for completing that Freeze Dodgeball event. If you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and slap that like button. Until next time, my fellow brothers and sisters, stay frosty.